one is proof of concept, then it goes on to prototyping and industry validation, which is human trials. And the ones with the star has already had commercial success. That means they have actually been licensed out to industry partners and they are already being used out there. For example, the EndoGlide, right? It was started off as a surgical tool that they were doing corneal transplants for patients, and they found it very difficult because during the process of transplant, there was a lot of cell loss, and so it was very difficult for the transplant to be successful. So two of professors, Professor Donald Tan and George Mehta, they said, let's try to create a device. So they used the concept of a thumb drive, and they came up with a concept where they can actually deliver the piece of cornea flap without bending, so that it reduces tissue loss by almost 50%. And that became a tool that is now being used all over the world for corneal surgery. It improves the surgical outcome by 50%. So these are some of the things, like I said, you find a problem at the clinical setting and you translate it, and then it helps people and helps patients. So like I said, the EndoGlide is a made in SERI product, and is now licensed to a company that sells it all over the world. We also have a eye drop. Basically, myopin is an atropine eye drop. We did this study, we did over 10 years, utilizing about 3 different grants from 3 different funding bodies, and we found the exact formulation of atropine that if you put in young children, it cannot be, I think, below the age of 10. You can actually prevent the progression of myopia. So we haven't found a cure for myopia, but we have found a way to prevent the progression of myopia. It can actually reduce the progression of myopia by 60%. And so this is now already licensed out as well. So we actually have a myopia clinic where we get parents to bring their kids, and they can put this drop, and they actually stop them from developing, further progressing their myopia. So these are just some of the papers. Like I said, for us, it's about the clinical impact. So this is the EndoGlide that I mentioned to you just now. So it looks like a thumb drive. It helps to deliver the corneal graft, and it results in it reduces from 60% cell loss to 15% cell loss, and it improves the outcome of corneal transplant by more than 50%. And it's now used in over 31 countries all over the world. So like I said, this is the other one I mentioned. So atropine, that's the eye drops that we have packaged with the SNEC logo, and it reduces myopia progression by 60%. So that's something we did. And basically our intention is to help patients. So it's with emphasis on patient and societal benefit. So we find that the annual cost of treatment of myopia is almost 959 million. So with the use of atropine, right, we are hoping to at least create a savings of 100 million a year, because we reduce the people having myopia. You know that Singapore has like the dubious honor of being the myopia capital of the world. We have the highest rate of myopia amongst as compared to many other countries. So this is a growing problem for us. So we have to find a way to treat it. So these are just other papers that we have, and we do a lot of imaging research as well. And we have created software to enhance the ability to look at images, and these have been licensed all over the world. Like I mentioned, angle closure glaucoma is a big important area for our research. We have a lot of papers on AMD. Again, age-related macular degeneration is one of the major causes of blindness in developed countries actually. So it is not something, so it is a real acute problem. And yeah, so and the other thing that we look at is we try to look at developing good clinical guidelines for better treatment of care. So in terms of key programs, we had this $25 million that was given to us for this translational research program on glaucoma and cornea, and this is actually a report by the International Scientific Advisory Board, where they actually said that our research is world class, and they were very happy with what we had achieved. So this was the second review. We got another 25 million based on that, and this is the second review of the next site visit that they came over for. And again, they said that whatever that we have done have exceeded their expectations. Yeah. So in terms of programs, we are now putting in a grant for this 20 million over 4 years. We just finished presenting to the International Review Panel last week, I think. Yeah, and we are hoping that we get our 20 million, although let's fingers crossed. Okay, and then this is another program that we are working with IMCB, which is the Institute of Molecular and Cell Biology. And this one actually is looking at a particular disease quite common in, again, developed countries. It's called, it's a group of diseases called retinal angiogenic diseases. And the purpose of this program, this program is actually looking at a more industry-facing platform, looking at new biomarkers and targets for treatment as well as for drug repurposing. So this just explains a bit of the program. In terms of milestones and achievements, so we moved here in I think 2013. We used to be in big SNC, it was a smaller area, it was a bit difficult for us, and now that we've got this new building, it's quite helpful. And this is just another thing that we have done. Like I said, we feel that our mandate is national. So this was a network that we mooted and led. So Prana, which is basically the Singapore Ophthalmology Research Collaborative Network that comprises of all the eye hospitals, eye departments within the public healthcare, public eye care hospitals in Singapore. In terms of awards, we won the President Science and Technology Awards for the last 3 years. The 2009 was the inaugural one. The President Science and Technology Award is the highest award in Singapore for research. And the thing about it is, when I say research, right, it can be any area. It can be engineering research, it can be environmental research, it can be digital research. But we were lucky in the sense that inaugural, I got it. And within biomedical research, there's eye, there's cancer, there's pediatrics, there's heart, there's lungs, there's everything. But I got it in 2009 inaugural, and the following year in 2010 we got it again, and then again in 2014. Actually, we kind of stopped putting in submissions because we felt that we should give others a chance as well. So, and then we always in the media, because we feel that it's important to raise profile and create awareness about eye disease. Because a lot of people take eye for granted. I mean, you think about it, you always think of, okay, going for checkup for heart, going for checkup, for breast screening, this and that. But you never think of your eye until you actually have a problem. And when you have a problem, it can be quite daunting because you cannot see, and that is actually it actually impacts on the quality of life severely. Yeah. So we are featured quite a bit in the media. So now in RTM as well, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, and the other thing that is very important is we feel that when we achieve something, we must pay it forward, because we need to collectively build the future. And that is why we have this philanthropy program. You will see this wall later when you go over to SNEC. It's actually a donor wall. So we have this tree, which is our giving tree, and those leaves are people who have contributed. So the smaller leaves are lesser contribution, and then the gold and the copper are bigger contributions. And the apples, right, are the outcome of the money. So that means they give us money. What do we do with the money, and how does it translate to helping patients? So yeah, so you will see the wall later. And basically, we came up with the Vision Safe campaign. It was launched last year. It's basically to use philanthropic money. That means people give us money through fundraising, right? And we want to be able to use the money to innovate eye care so that we can benefit our patients and give back to the community. So we are looking at 5 areas. One is education, the other one is research, third one is humanitarian, so we want to go to other countries to help people. So we very often go to Myanmar, Cambodia and Vietnam to do to look at patients and also to teach the eye care professionals there, because you treat them, it doesn't help. If you go and teach them, then they can treat their own patients, and that is more sustainable. And then of course we look at helping needy patients, as well as look at developing our infrastructure so that we can better serve our patients. So we've done a few things. One is we got celebrities involved in the Eyes That Tell Stories, which is a photographic art exhibition, basically to raise funds. And then we have this thing called the Eyeball that we started in 2012. And basically we get all these people to come pay for their tables and we raise money that way. So we have the Eyeball 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and last year was 2016. So now we've got Dick Lee on board. He's our Vision Safe ambassador. He also is a patient. He's got eye problems. So it was easy to convince him to come on board. And yeah. So we are also a member of the Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, which is a WHO organization. And that's important because we feel that we need to also be a voice globally in healthcare, in finding ways to improve eye care delivery. And we have also been successful in conference organization. We are doing the APA, which is the Asia Pacific Ophthalmology Congress this year in March. But before that, we did the Asia AWO, which is an international eye research conference. That was in 2011. And we are also bidding for the WOC, which is the World Ophthalmology Congress, hopefully in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's it for me. Any questions? Too much information.
We have it.
Okay, anyway, you can digest it. We've given you some bags, right? Okay, so we give you some stuff in the bags, some of the information on SERI. So maybe that will help you if you need to refer to it. And of course, you can drop us an email anytime.
I have a question. When you have research and conduct the research towards the patient, you use the volunteers. Are they volunteers or healthy patients?
Okay, it depends.
Patients with
actual problems.
Yeah.
Okay, it depends on the type of research, right? So for example, if it's a research that is looking at a specialized glaucoma drug, so it's a registered drug, which means that we are looking at glaucoma patients, so we have to recruit glaucoma patients, so we recruit from the clinic. For example, sometimes they have first-in-man trials. So for first-in-man trials, right, you are looking not so much at efficacy but safety, so those related trials. So for these, right, you could use healthy volunteers, and you would ask. So for different trials, you need to have a study protocol, and in the study protocol, you need to identify your target patient, and it is very strict. There's an inclusion as well as exclusion criteria, and these protocols have to be sent to the ethics committee for approval. After it's approved, then you can go ahead and recruit. So in a sense, it depends on the type of study. Yeah.
Second level question is regarding the question itself. I mean, it's about the testing, but the first level of the testing is that through animals, is it? Animal testing, and there are 3 animals I've heard.
Quite a few.
Quite a few animals, but the main animals I just mentioned just now. I mean, judging by the fact that the similarity of our eyes and to the animals, like we're not that relatively similar, and judging by the fact that it takes like numerous tests for us to confirm to get the adequate information, you can say you can find a firm that we can go to have a test on information. How do you define that? How would you rate that?
I think firstly, right, there's many levels. So for example, I think, okay, I'm not a clinician or scientist, so from what I can tell you is this, there are protocols. So you actually have to go through a few protocols. For example, right, when you from basic science to even go to the animals, even for animal research, you have an animal ethics committee, so you cannot anyhow go and do research on animals. You must have a protocol on what are the things you're doing, why you're going to animals, so there are experts who review and decide, okay, yes, you have enough proof that this is safe and efficacious for you to move on to animals. So there are experts looking at it. And then in terms of the animal you choose as well, the experts will determine whether you have chosen the right animal. So there is for different tests, they use different types of animals because for various reasons, certain animals are able to, certain eyes are able to validate a certain type of test better, for example. So these are all, it goes through a very vigorous methodology, and there are experts. So the Animal Ethics Committee actually consists of people who are experts in animal research. Then, and then after which, right, if you want to go into first in man, right, you have to get not only ethics but regulatory approval, and that is like FDA in US. For us it's called the Health Sciences Authority. And for the HSA to approve your first in man trial, right, they will expect a dossier of information, and this information will include basic research results, animal research safety and toxicity tests, drug-related, dosage-related tests, so that they will ask for a whole string of tests. So you must make sure you have completed all of these. So that is how you know what you need to do in order to go to first in man. And for, you know, in terms of drug-related trials for humans, there is 4 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. So before you can go to, before your drug can get registered, it has to go through these phases. And for each phase, you may have to do more than one trial. And these trials are regulated by the Health Sciences Authority. So you cannot progress to your next trial without them approving your first trial. And the second trial will be based on the results of your first trial. So there are experts that actually that you need to refer your studies to at every step of the way. So they serve as guidance actually. Yeah.
Right. Well, I have this one very, it's a very, what do you call it? Small question actually. You don't have to go further on it. It's about volunteerism from the people. First, it has level question. The first one is the distribution part, the receiving end of the volunteers. How often you receive the volunteers? That's number one. The breakdown of it. Who are they? And last but not least, like, it sounds silly, but it's just a question. Right? Is there still a possibility that the test itself might fail? Like, is there any comment? Is there any like some form of not damage? We don't go there. But I mean, if something happens to the patient, affected by the aftermath of the test itself, is there any form of compensation to the patient, to the volunteer?
So okay. Firstly, right, in terms of volunteers, actually for us, our research is mostly eye-based. We don't have, but I know of phase 1 units. In Singapore, we actually have certain units called phase 1 units that just look at phase 1 studies, and these are very specialized. Because the thing about phase 1 studies is that it requires close monitoring. Every patient has to stay in. For phase 1 studies, that means first in man and phase 1, right? It is typically looking at efficacy as well as safety. So there is a very stringent requirement. So you actually have to stay in. And for phase 1 facilities, you have constant, in fact you have 24 hours monitoring of vital signs as well. So you basically stay in. So for these facilities, right, it is a specialized facility. So we have one in Changi, one in NUH, and one here in Singhal, SGH. So for these facilities, right, the protocols are more stricter. And in terms of volunteers,